yeah, if you think you're going to do it in your own strength, then you know what? Yeah, you can do it.
COVID, it's been helping people move their businesses from offline or brick and mortar to online.
Systems are more important than skills as an entrepreneur today.
It's totally okay to reinvent yourself multiple times, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. If you're a coach, speaker, or industry expert, you're in the right place for sales and marketing wisdom and insight to grow your coaching business. Now, here's your host, Income Acceleration Mentor, Wendy Y. Bailey.
So hello again, everyone, and welcome again to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show. I'm Wendy Y. And as always, I have another amazing guest that I'm going to be in conversation with. Mitchell Levy I know him as the credibility thought leader because he has focused much of his work on looking at credibility and helping people to understand what credibility means. And then we're also going to talk about his work with thought leadership, because that's part of the whole puzzle. He's a TEDx speaker. He did his TEDx speaker speech in January, and it's going to air in April. So it will have aired before this episode. So be sure to check that out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But welcome, Mitchell Levy.
Wendy Y, great to be here. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too. So let's jump in. Tell us about your work around credibility.
You know, I spent a year interviewing over 500 thought leaders on this concept of credibility. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked in both positive and negative ways. And I had a massive aha moment. And so if I'm going to summarize, I came up with 5 questions, the same 5 questions. And I'd ask people those 5 questions and the shock, both positive and negative. Can I give you some stats? Do you mind if I run through?
Yeah.
Right. So here's the shock. 2% of people have no integrity. That means they booked time on the show and they did not show up and did not let us know before or afterwards. Now, Wendy Y, people say, Mitchell, 2%, that's great. I have more. That's not great. That's not normal. This is not the way people should be.
Not acceptable. Yeah.
Exactly. 4% are rude. Now let's talk about, what does rude mean? I have a live show. 4% of the people came after the hour. So let me ask you a question. You're being interviewed by the global credibility expert on your credibility, and you think it's credible to come after the hour for a live show.
No way.
Like, it's kind of like, duh. Okay.
No
23% of people were late. Now, if you have a live show, I define coming late as 3 minutes to the hour. Mm-hmm. So 3 minutes to the end. So once again, you start panicking if you're doing a live show. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 2 more stats. This is interesting. When I would interview with people, we'd enter the green room. And in the green room, we'd have a conversation just like you and I had today, which is nice. How are you? How you doing? What's going on? And only 50% of the people, when they enter the green room, came and wanted to show me who they are, basically showing me their heart. Mm-hmm. Now, if I can't get to see you, how do I get to know you? How do I get to like you? Why would I want to do business with you? I can't. And of those, I was able to move that number from 50% to 80%, but it basically meant that 50% of people didn't want to show me who they were in the first interaction. Okay, you got to fix that. Okay. And then once we got to the numbers where I got to see them and I got to like them, I then went back after the interview to their LinkedIn profile, to their websites. 80% of those people have a shitty online presence in terms of they don't show up with their purpose. They don't show up with who they are.
Yeah. And let me ask a question.
Yeah. Okay. I have one more stat. I'll slip it in later.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my thought, because that happens when you're on the backside of 50, Mitchell. So I don't want to lose my thought. I'll lose it if we can.
I know, I got my fingers crossed so I don't forget mine. Yeah. Okay.
So my question is, when you said people don't want to reveal themselves, they don't want to show who they really are, my first thought was, are we talking there's this guard that they have up, or are we talking about them really truly being out of integrity and putting a mask forward versus who they truly are? You see the difference between those?
Yes. Can I answer your question? Yes. And then yes, the question you didn't even ask. Right. Okay. So the way I look at it is when we're born, we are all born innocent. We are born neither credible nor dubious. And what happens is we are taught almost every single day things that are dubious, and they work. And so we continue doing them. So in how people show up, some people show up because they've been burnt in the past, so they don't want to expose themselves now.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, they're not being vulnerable. Some people show up because they need to wear the mask of whatever is appropriate to them. And I need to show up this way because this is what the audience needs to be. And this is how I'm going to sell product and service. It's never about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, if you're credible, it's about being of service to others. And if you're of service to others, you need to relate to them. If you relate to them, they get to see you. If they get to see you, you never sell anything. You're just sharing where the world in your mind is going, where together you guys can go. And then ultimately people go, oh, I want to join you on that journey.
Yeah, for sure. So what's that last stat?
The last one is, this was the biggest shock. The biggest shock. 98% of people do not need, or how about we put it this way, needed clarity on who they served and the pain point they addressed. 98%. I mean, it was really shocking for me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. Because every day I talk to people in the industry, I say industry, I'm talking coaching, training, consulting, speaking industry, and they don't have a clue. Their words, I'm telling you, it doesn't show.
No. So
they don't have a clue.
You hit the nail on the head. If our teachers don't have an understanding, then how could they teach somebody to have an understanding? And so let's do bigger picture. What happens is we've been taught to do all this dubious stuff, and it works. So I'm trying to think about a great example.
Retraining, untraining your brain on what you've learned that you thought was right, that is dubious.
Exactly. Actually, so if you want, I'll give a quick answer on this one.
Okay.
For those that are interested, look up CPOP. It's customer pointed pain. Now, some people, instead of the second P is customer pointed pleasure, could be aspirational. Pain or pleasure, we're not selling pain. It's simply in 10 words or less, who you serve and what is the pain point they address. Mm-hmm. So mine really broad, it's humans that want to be seen as credible. Yeah. And when you listen, like here's what's interesting. It's less than 10 words. Mm-hmm. It's short. Mm-hmm. It's memorable. Mm-hmm. It's memorable enough that you might actually want to share it. And the most important thing, you're like, well, what does that mean? Or tell me more, or what do you do? When you could give a CPOP that people want to know more, what's the first thing you've done is they've now, when they say, tell me more, they've given you permission to tell them more. We all go to these network meetings, and when you've got people have like 30 seconds to introduce themselves, they take 2 minutes. Imagine if you introduce yourself in 10 seconds or 3 seconds. And then they said, oh, that's interesting. You got a little more time. Tell me more.
Yeah. That's immediate credibility. That's instant credibility is what it is. And one of the things I know as a sales and marketing person is you've got to create instant rapport and make a connection that is meaningful before you can do anything else. That's my philosophy.
Oh, and I look at it, Wendy, let's assume you're talking to the spouse of your client or the spouse of your prospect, and you don't know this at the moment. What does the spouse care about? Well, if it's a good spouse, they're a servant leader. They want to help their partner be successful. But they may not care about your industry and what you do at all. But if you say something in less than 10 seconds that triggers my spouse talked about that, maybe I should introduce you. That's always the litmus test as I'm speaking to the spouse of my prospect and I say something. And by the way, when I'm doing the interviews, I do that for the people I'm talking to is, could you say something that my wife would find interesting and want to say, tell me more?
I love it. That's great. So when I think about credibility in the work that you're doing, I know that you did a TED Talk on credibility and that's going to be coming out in it'll be released before this actual episode.
Yeah, you'll have, this will be out. So if you just Google Mitchell Levy TED Talk, there'll be two TEDx's. One that was at the end of 2017, and it was essentially, it was the same as the book that's back here. It's Being Seen and Being Heard as a Thought Leader, and you can see that either on YouTube or the TED channel. And then the current one is on Credibility, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah. So I know you did a TED Talk, and people will be able to go and view that. So let me ask you about your work on thought leadership. You interviewed 500 thought leaders. You talked about the stats, but what were the ahas that you didn't mention as part of the stats? Any ones that you were like, okay, now that I know that, I'm going to see thought leadership differently. Now that I see that, now that people have responded in mass about this, I'm viewing and embracing thought leadership differently.
Well, I guess so. Let me answer your question in two ways. First, okay. I think the overall concept of thought leadership has been treated so dubiously, you probably want to throw it out. Right? Because the old definition of thought, the old definition of thought leadership is somebody stands on the platform, they preach, they shout, and everyone listens and says, how high? That's not really the way it works anymore, right? And so what thought leadership, probably a better way to say it is, if you're of service to others, if you're a servant leader, what happens is, if you could be a servant leader in such a way where people know how you serve and they get attracted to you because they like what you do, that's thought leadership. And so probably the most massive aha, good question, because I hadn't thought about it in this angle before. The most massive aha I had was when I said we need to have a CPOP, when I said we need to have a customer pointed pain that really is the compass for who we are. It turns out that your CPOP is your purpose. And if you could live your purpose, the interesting part is you're happy, right? You whatever the word happy means to you, right? You're of service to others. People know that you could be of service to them in this particular way. And what people say is, Mitchell, how do I market? I just had a conversation the other day. Somebody said, I'm spending more money than I need to on SEO. Should I? And I can't say yes or no, but I could say, are you saying the right stuff? Does your website reflect who you are? Is your website centered around your purpose, centered around your CPOP? And if the answer is no, no matter how much money you're spending, you're not actually, the way I look at it, Wendy, it's important to magnetize our, Wendy Y, right. It's important to magnetize our compass.
Yeah, I love that. Magnetize your compass. Yeah, awesome. So who do you typically serve in the work that you do? Like, we've hinted at a couple of things, but let's drive it home.
Well, there are two, I think for many of us, there are multi aspects of many of things that we do. In Credibility Nation, which is a membership community, I serve all of those people in the planet that want to be credible. Okay, that's broad, obviously, and we're talking billions of people. How do I fund that today? So as of Credibility Nation, as of this recording, by the time you hear it, it'll be older. It's 4 months old. Having been 4 months old, the goal for 2021 is for it to be self-sustaining. And so today, Credibility Nation is funded from my publishing company. So for those people that I serve, I have tactics that build credibility. So one of the tactics is doing a cred reel, a credibility shine video. And so that is one of the tactics we use, and we charge for that. And the second is done for you book publishing. So my publishing company produces tactics for people, and the money that I make there is now funding Credibility Nation. The 2021 goal is it's self-sustaining. And so that it is, regardless of whether or not Mitchell Levy is around, not that I plan on going anywhere immediately, that it continues, because this is important.
Gotcha. So thanks so much. We're going to take a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll go through our signature segment. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Hi everyone, Wendy Y here, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to join the Profitable Coaching Society. It's a growing community of more than 300 coaches, speakers, industry leaders, marketplace influencers, and emerging thought leaders who look, sound, and have businesses just like you. Over in the society, we are talking all things sales and marketing. We're talking personal development. We're talking professional development. And my goal in creating this community is to make sure you have a place where you can come and get sales and marketing support, coaching, tips, strategies, and you also have an opportunity to network with others in the community. So be sure to join me at profitablecoachingsociety.com. That's profitablecoachingsociety.com, and I'll see you over there. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hi, I'm Reshonda Pratt, known online as The Rose Show Live, and you're tuned in to Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. Make sure to like, comment, review, subscribe, so you'll know when the next conversation goes live.
Hey there, I'm Ty Goodwin, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Cherie Sparrow, your world-class therapeutic art practitioner, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you can be notified when the next episode goes live.
Okay, so welcome back. We've been talking with TEDx speaker, renowned credibility expert Mitchell Levy. Welcome back.
Oh, it's great to be back. Thank you.
So we're going to jump into our signature segment, Mitchell, and these are 5 questions that I ask almost every single guest. There are a couple of exceptions based on the topic, but let's jump in. Who's had the greatest influence on you in your life?
Well, my wife. I wouldn't be the person I am today without we've been married for 31 years. I've known her for 34, and she helped humanize me.
Wow, humanize you. That begs the question, what was it like before? What were you like before?
Well, I did. This is 2 of the things that I actually brought up in my TED Talk. My first male mentor was my first boss out of B school. And he was hedonistic and narcissistic and taught me amazingly poor, or you could say amazingly great, dubious lessons. Mm-hmm. How to treat the people who worked for me with no respect, how to have a large ego, right? And the lesson that he taught me without me knowing is blame, how to place blame on other people. Wow. And so it turns out it took 33 years for me to unlearn all of those lessons. And so it's well,
I'm glad
my wife's a really good influence that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you did learn them, and I'm glad your wife was instrumental in that. So what's the best business advice you've ever received?
You know, it's probably to go through life, and now I've changed this slightly, go through life with at least 1 mentor and 2 mentees. Mm-hmm. And I want to change this now because I've got one of the courses that I have in Credibility Nation. We should be going through life with 5 or 6 simultaneous mentors, simultaneous sponsors. Focus on different aspects of our lives. We're always thinking there's one thought leader who can solve world hunger for us, but rather there are different areas that we may want mentorship from: financial, spiritual, credibility, accountability, awareness. There are different types of sponsorship avenues. So best advice I can actually share is you should have multiple sponsors throughout your life in different segments that are appropriate to you.
Awesome. And what's your largest single sale, Mitchell? The amount, the circumstances, and what did you do to celebrate?
You know, I've been thinking about that, and it The best way I could say it is I've got 3 sales that resulted in $500,000. So 3 different times. One was 600, one was 400, the other was actually $500,000. But they didn't, none of them were, here's the contract for that amount. So a lot of times, particularly in the service industry, you're signing a deal where if you continue to perform, the money keeps coming in the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it was 600 over time. It was 200 over time, 400 over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one of them was one of the things that I gave as a present to my wife. It turns out to be a present to all of us. Is for the last 20 years, other than the first year of COVID, we did not go in 2020. We had to unwind. We would rent a house in Europe for 4 to 6 weeks, and we'd invite friends and family. And and been doing that for 20 years.
Very nice.
The first year we were in a sort of a farmhouse in France, and I got this email, and I deleted it, and then I undeleted it, and it was a request for me to run a conference. It was the largest conference at the time during the .com days. Comdex was the largest conference, so it was a request for me to run a conference, and the question was, Mitchell, the person doing this is gone. I need you to do this. It needs to be done in 3 weeks. Would you be interested? So we were actually in a farmhouse, a chateau,
in France.
Depending on how you look at it, in France. So I had to ask permission of my wife. Hey, can I spend time doing this? So I ended up booking 60 speakers, writing the content from this place in France. And at the time, that was a big deal. This is 20 years ago. Nowadays, that's something we would all do anytime. And that ultimately resulted in me running 4 conferences and making $500,000. And so how did I celebrate? My wife gave me permission because we didn't have any guests at the time. So she gave me permission. And B, we were already in a place that we were celebrating. So it was already
win all the way around, huh?
It was a win-win. Yeah.
Awesome. So we all have those times when we feel like giving up in our businesses. What has helped you when you've had those times to move through that, to stay the course in your business?
That's a really great question. And I was trying to think of how best to answer that question. And so we'll just start talking. We'll see what happens. So I've never actually had that thought, like, because what I do though, and what people know me from, is I continue to reinvent myself. So the best example I could think about is during the .com days, I was that guy who would go around to CEOs and VP of operations and say, this is new technology coming, and it's going to allow us to talk directly to our customers. It's going to allow us to ship our products from our subcomponent manufacturers directly to our clients. I was actually walked out of the door in companies. I mean, and of course we know what the internet is and what it's done. Well, when the bust came, my consulting and speaking business on e-commerce went to zero overnight. And so I had to reinvent, right? It wasn't because, and so one lesson I learned, there were 2 interesting lessons. One lesson I learned is it wasn't me. The world changed. And so I can't take it personally. The second is having multiple revenue streams. So at the time I had a CEO networking group for them. It was making $40,000 a year, which was very small in relation to the other things I was making. I was just about ready to get rid of the CEO networking group. And one day when my speaking and consulting business went to zero, $40,000 a year looked like a lot. And I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. And so what I'd say is listen to your customers, both the current ones that are paying you and the new ones that want to hire you, and continue to adjust who you are and how you serve based on their needs. And what'll eventually happen, if you're listening, you get a gift every day. We get gifts all the time, and most of us don't listen.
Yeah. Great answer. Great answer. And what is your greatest personal accomplishment outside of your business?
Oh, I mentioned half of them, my wife and my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
knew your wife was going to be in there because
I've got a 22-year-old, and he's a really beautiful human.
Nice. Very, very nice. So we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we want to hear your parting thought. Hi, everyone, Wendy Y here, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to join the Profitable Coaching Society. It's a growing community of more than 300 coaches, speakers, industry leaders, marketplace influencers, and emerging thought leaders who look, sound, and have businesses just like you. Over in the society, we are talking all things sales and marketing. We're talking personal development. We're talking professional development. And my goal in creating this community is to make sure you have a place where you can come and get sales and marketing support, coaching, tips, strategies, and you also have an opportunity to network with others in the community. So be sure to join me at profitablecoachingsociety.com. That's profitablecoachingsociety.com, and I'll see you over there. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hi, this is Colin C. Thompson, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hey, this is Tanya Smith, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment now so that you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and you've tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Spread some cred dust by liking, commenting, reviewing, and subscribing now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
So welcome back. We've been talking with the global credibility expert, Mitchell Levy. He's got a lot of stuff that he's had his fingers in. We had a really great conversation about what that looks like and how you can learn from his experiences, from his journey. And, you know, one of the things we talked about before we came back on air was Credibility Nation. He's mentioned it a couple of times, but I thought it would be really great for you guys to hear the pledge as his parting thought for this conversation.
You know, I was thinking when I created Credibility Nation, my chief content writer and I, we were sitting back and we were going, you know, we need to give somebody a focal point, something to think about, something that incorporates the definition of credibility has 3 pillars and 10 components, something that bundles that in. So let me share with you the Credibility Nation pledge. What you want to say to yourself is this something I want? Is this something I want for me, for my family, for other people? And if the answer is not yes, I would question. If the answer is yes, this is a place to play. And that's what the overarching goal of Credibility Nation is. I pledge to live credibly every day without hate in my life. I strive to be a good human and make this a better planet for myself, my family, and for other people's families in this generation and the next.
Nice. Yeah, it's simple, but it's very powerful. It really, really is. And I know you mentioned when you shared it with me during the break, you mentioned that it covers 2 different components. I know servant leadership is one of those. And the other one?
Oh, yeah. So for those, you could look at all my stuff to see what credibility is. And credibility is really the quality and the updated definition, the quality in which we're known, quality in which we're liked, and the quality in which we're trusted. And so being of service to others is part of being known. Not having hate is an important element. And it's very hard because we've been taught, even me, I catch myself where I say, well, I hate ketchup or mustard. And I don't really, by the way, I like both ketchup and mustard, but I'll say those words and I go, wait, I didn't mean that, strike, right?
Yeah, there's an energy to the word itself that you don't want to be connected to. You don't want that energy in your world.
I think when you look at those people you hang around with, the people you gravitate to that you enjoy, that are doing good for others, servant leadership, and they're doing it by not having hate in how they make stuff happen. Mm-hmm. And that's what it means to be humane. That's what it means to have humanity. And that is to be able to deliver and be of service and allow all of us to live in a way that's positive, live in a way that adds value to future generations.
Yeah, very nice. So I know you have a gift for everyone. Tell us about the gift, and then we will put the link in the show notes. I know you want to offer a membership to Credibility Nation.
Oh, absolutely. So in Credibility Nation, and by the time this airs, there'll be more services. We're always finding, how do we educate? How do we interact? How do we learn? There's a community that you can join where you can talk to other people who are credible, other people who you get to know, like, and trust almost immediately. And we have a spotlight series, so we bring in a credibility expert from around the world. There's weekly emails with a 2 to 3 minute video. Mm-hmm. There are, and the list goes on. There's a series of courses. There's a course on how to create your CPOP, right? And all that comes with the first level membership. What I'd like to be able to do is I want you to experience it. So for 3 months, we pay a lot more, and I'd like to gift you for $1 for 3 months the opportunity for you to experience Credibility Nation, so that you could see what it feels like to be part of this community.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Mitchell.
Wendy White, you are always a pleasure to interact with, and thanks for showing up the way you do.
Thank you so much. So we'll see you next time for another episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show. Remember to join us at the Society at profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks so much for tuning into Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. Be sure to join us at the after party at www.profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you next time for more sales and marketing wisdom and insight from Wendy Y. and her amazing guests. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new episodes are posted.